Good morning, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from MasonWorks Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone on a very special day with a very special guest. Today's the solstice. It's 12/21/21. How about that? And we're here with Susanne Amara. And Susanne is an energy artist that is working from the highest level of energy that we can almost reach here, and her work is divine. So Susanne, do you want to talk about how this all happened? Because you can see some of it behind her right now.
Yes, thank you, Kathy. Thanks for having me on your show today, especially today with the energy being so strong and so wide open with potential for us all to reach ourselves. So I guess I'm here as I am right now, but in a nutshell, I had a very conventional life, just as most people, and fell into the mire of my own illusionary ego and just kind of like live life from that place. I wanted to make a better life for myself and ended up was married, had children, had all kinds of jobs and roles, which I now realize were, of course, training me to do what I do now. And I was a therapist already. I'd followed that holistic route and felt called to leave the corporate world because I was working in the corporate world as an analyst and a programmer, coder. And then in 2012, so 9 years today, I visited and I felt called, not because I knew, but I felt it so strong that I would have died if I hadn't have been there. That's how strong it was. I was not someone that was prone to go to sacred sites and mostly felt that the New Age was illusionary. It was very logical. And I travelled to Stonehenge and heard the sounds coming from the stones, which might sound unbelievable, but it was everywhere. It wasn't coming from anywhere, it was coming from everywhere. And then I travelled to Avebury because a voice told me in my head that I should go to a nearby sacred site, which is very powerful in the UK, called Avebury. I drove there with a map, because we didn't have GPS, and it was there that I received the main catalyzing download, which shifted my awareness. And 9 days later, or 8 days later, although it was 9 when I was in the journey, I was awakened and I experienced billions of years of time and a complete defragmentation in 3 days of linear time. And when I came back, I was not the same. So that was the seeding, that was the beginning, but that was just the beginning, because what it did was, of course, like with everybody that experiences this type of activation, it completely just erased and destroyed the person that I was. It was very difficult to come in. I forgot who people were. And it started a very deep process of unwinding that illusion. So the last 9 years have been all about, for me, embodiment of breaking through my ego, learning to be humble, learning to be present, learning what devotion really means, and yeah, just really trusting what comes through. So everything that you see here, this is as a result of that work. This wasn't given to me immediately. There was a lot of very strong work in between. So that's kind of the how, and it's simple. It was just learning to trust and let go. And a few years later, as I was still in denial, I denied all of this, by the way. So this all happened and I denied it like many people, just shuffled it away and go, what a load of poppycock, you're just making this up. But seeds were already sown, things were moving along. And in 2016, again, I was starting to follow some intuition, working a little bit with the land. And then I had an extraordinary experience in Cheshire on the spine of Albion, which is a ley line. And that was when my third eye really opened, and I was just like traveling through time, suddenly I could do extraordinary things with energy and healing, had no real foundation for it. And of course, the world kind of opened then. That was when my traditional work in healing and therapy had to change, and I had to take time out to accommodate and really understand what the quantum field was, and to be learn to be humble to it. So the light language came later on, and started in 2017. So
2017. Okay.
yeah.
And what I work with this wonderful lady who does light language, and the beings of light that work through her are called Shemaya. And she said she first started just kind of talking just for fun, and then she realized she had no control of it, and she'd be at a dinner party, and all of a sudden she'd be talking light language, like like if people aren't prepared or don't know, they know, they can sense the energies coming through you. But did anything happen like that when you first started doing light language?
Yes, just hang on. I am just sharing it manually to
Okay.
my page, so my followers can
Yeah.
see it. So yes, well, the light language for me, I didn't know what light language was at all, but when now, of course, I know that I've been drawing and doodling light language since I was a child. I would draw it on my school books. It was pouring out of me. I did A-level art. It was all in my pieces of work. I just didn't know that's what I was doing. So it was very naive. I was very naive. I always had kind of movements, intuitive with energy, with nature, with animals. I could hear them. Just it was all getting filtered out and suppressed. I was all obviously psychic, didn't know I could heal, didn't know, and all of that. So in
Ooh.
2017, I this was where it speeded up for me. I was having sort of engaging with some training, some quantum training. It was very strong, very powerful, and I was in a cacao journey and a meditation journey, and the energy frequency went into resonance. I could then begin to meet what I now understand is the collective from which I come from, my monadic body. So beyond individual soul, it's a collective
Right.
field. So that was the very first time I was moving in that energy, and it felt like I'd gone to another universe, but I hadn't really gone to another universe. I was going to the universe within, just having an experience of that. And I met with some orphan beams, which look a little bit like angels,
Hmm.
in a very wavy, fluid, plasmic field of light. And they said to me, in my whole being, "You're going to bring to Earth a new language which hasn't been on Earth before."
Oh.
Now you can imagine that I am obviously I've got ego because I'm just a human, but I was one of those people that felt less than. I had lack. I did not believe in myself. And so you can imagine this going into me. I was just like, "You've got the wrong person. Like, what are you talking about?
Me.
Like what the hell is this?" And I just sort of forgot about it. But it was a seed, and as all seeds, when they're planted, you're planting your own seed. Like we obviously always want to say it's from somewhere else, but it's really us doing it.
Yes.
And so in that space, it seeded something. And then, of course, because I've always been like, I'm the last person in the room to get a joke. It's like the most perfect thing because there's no elevation for it. It's just so beautiful. I always meet it like the last person to hold it and see it. And
Mhm.
then it just started to unfold. People came into my life, and it would start to come out of me like you shared with your friend. It would be not something I would sit down and go, "Oh, I'm going to do this." It would pour out of me uncontrollably, starting to come out. And I was terrified I was going to hurt people, or, that there's some darkness was going to come out. And, like I was really paranoid about things because I
I
didn't
I
still didn't
understand.
understand
I understand.
anything.
Well, did you know what it all meant? You knew what it
No,
felt like, but you
no.
could feel the resonance in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
N- Light language for me has never had a meaning in a phonetic way. We have language. So this is why they call me the breaker of the word in my collective. I'm called the breaker of a word because it's like the energy breaks the word. It takes it from encapsulation. So we want to hold energy in something and give it a meaning. So light language just breaks through that. It breaks through your mind and it goes straight into your heart, which is of course why we feel so moved when it's touching us, and it makes us cry often or break open
Yeah.
and stuff. So that's where it was given, and it started with vocal language, and somehow after a little while I could hear other people's languages. So I would look at people and I'd be able to reflect to them without trying the core languages. So that's how soul mirroring was born. This is how it all birthed. Then about a year later, I made rudimentary. My hands started to remember. I was making rudimentary writing, again a little bit tentative about sharing it because some people were like going, oh, that's very dark, this stuff is not, it's not good, you shouldn't be doing this.
I know
And
who
of
you
course it goes
share
into all your primal fears. So it's very slow, lots and lots of breaking apart, lots of trust, but the dam for this broke in 2019. It really, as I started to trust the true nature of the creation, started to come, and I've just been refining it, and now again just trusting it seems to just evolve all by itself. It's living light, it's the living consciousness, it's an energy of source, and we've all got that. That's the thing. It's not, I've have many people come in my groups who say they're not autistic, and after a few days working in a retreat, they're drawing and creating and producing incredible art. So I feel it really is belonging to all of us. We're all this.
So, so I know, because I'm looking at that beautiful lion behind you, that for the Lion's Gate, that was the image that you used. Do you identify, because you're part of the collective, do you identify with any planetary groups or races?
Yes, but not in the way that we might perceive. So conventionally, the Diamondlike Collective, if we were going to play in the world of dimensions, which it helps people to understand,
Mhm.
that's a sort of classification we've made as humans, that the Diamondlike Collective is really more of an eighth dimensional plane of existence. So we don't have bodies and forms. We're just energy, and the quantum field is already united. It's a unification. So when we bring through things through the creation, so we come through the creational field, we transduce our energy through, and then we move into the expression of God, if you like, or source through matter. So we come into a physical plane rather than a metaphysical plane. Then we obviously will have existences through planetary bodies. So yes, the first connections I had were from Sirius. So there was a Syrian team came, again, long before I was comfortable with this. It was extremely uncomfortable, and I thought I was going crazy. And they would come at night, and I was being taught lots of things to do with the earth. So working with large field energy, working with stargates, working with really the earth nodes, the grids, and learning about interplanetary connected fields. It was very technical. I hadn't got a clue what this was. And it was really, I would wake up and draw diagrams, ball and stick diagrams of things I was seeing, trying to translate technology. And my husband was thinking I was going crazy and I should probably be committed at this point. So
Uh-oh.
it was very much, this is the beauty of it, you see. The whole thing is it was just delivered through such a conventional framework. Then I asked for a guide because I looked at all these spiritual people and they're all talking about guides. And Jesus had appeared in 2016. Jesus manifested in my room. But again, I want to say this very loosely because I understand what we're doing with reality, that we create this, we create the conduits and the portals for the information. So this was like a time it was put into time for me to wake up. it was only very few words, but there was a relationship that developed through Yeshua, which helped to soften me into trust. So this is it's very deep, but also very beautiful and simple. It's all simplicity because it's just our creation. The When I wanted a guide, I was given a first contact guide from the Pleiades called Alderon, and Alderon really helped me to start to understand the principle of one and all, so one as many. So as we have an individualistic personality of creation, that we really are made of many, and that we're bringing them into the now space. But we can't hear that because it's also noisy with all the things we are
Yeah.
already creating. So he really helped me, although it's not really he, I don't have that. And I went through lots of different kind of varieties, if you like, through the Lyran system, where I was a coder. So the incarnates I had there were all to do with coding, all kind of scientific, technical. And then also moving, I remembered my very old, ancient, in linear time, Syrian lives. And a lot of this was in elemental form. So water elements, aqueous or aquatic being.
Mhm.
And then in the Arcturians were the last consciousness because they're extremely high, the high dimensional light. So that came last, and that's when my codes kind of really evolved. So we do give presentations through these mediums, but the language is a living light, so it's really outside of that identification as well at the same time. It just kind of helps, like the lion, for example, like a lyran, crystalline lyran energy,
Yes.
but really it's just still source because it's all
Yes.
one.
Yes. But there's a lot of Syrian energy in that Lyran. Um, yes.
Yeah, of
I
course.
recognize it. Well, so you've said over and over again, the journey has been for trust, and I would say that that's something that I've also been working on my whole life. I think is that it's not that I don't trust the beings that are helping me; it's more trusting this platform, this earthbound platform. Do you have any recommendation? Oh, and look at Noelle and Bob are here. Stephanie's here. Xana's here, and
Hi.
Dr. Joe's here. Hi,
Hi.
guys.
It's lovely to have you
Yes,
with us today on this very special day.
yes,
So, yeah, I mean, trusting humans, this is where it's all at, really. Um, we carry so much wounding inside. It's one thing to be open. I think often when we open to, say, quantum space, it's through an ideology of belief. So we tend to believe spiritual things, and the presentations or the stories that we've had, we've got these different conventions, different routes, everyone's got their own. But ultimately, in a way, it helps us to a degree because it gets us somewhere, doesn't it? It starts us to question things, but it can also keep us shut down. So the trust is really all about how deeply we can trust the reality which is presenting, and really to work on presence, because if we don't see in the moment, if we get caught in those things which we carry as burdens, like the emotions and the things we carry in our bodies, which are very locked in, it informs our present and it kind of gets in the way. It's like a little malware program, or it's a very big
exactly.
malware program for the human race, that it interferes with our ability to really truly feel and to really see what's there. And that's been my journey, is constantly meeting all of my resistance, and I
Yeah,
still have it now. I would never sit and say that I don't have resistance, because I meet it, and it's just a question of being more soft when you do meet it in others. And people can trigger you or move you in certain ways, and really to see that more as a gift,
exactly.
and to take it in and to look at yourself and what your own inner reflections are before you go out projecting that into the world and onto others. And that it really kind of brings you to more of a stillness, as you can feel that space in your body, particularly in the lower body, which we tend to be quite numb from because we've been quite heady as a species, modern life. We forget we're this whole being. So as we trust ourselves, it's all like one journey, isn't it? We trust our bodies and ourselves. We begin to trust that we've got the ability to make better decisions and choices about what we engage with, and also to know what's harmful for us, because not everything that appears to be good for us is actually good for us,
Right.
and to make that discernment without it being like the finger of judgment or projection, because it's still us, it's just unintegrated aspects. So really, we tend to, when we're not safe, when we don't feel safe in the world, we make the enemy and we make the defense, and that really gets in the way of us
Yes.
feeling, sensing
Yes.
and seeing and opening to the quantum field. And the
Exactly.
darkness that we can often feel and sense is really the unintegrated aspects of our God consciousness, of the source consciousness. Just because of the ideologies on our planet, we've made that a scary thing. So that in the dark cave where we don't see, we make the enemy, we make thine enemy, and then we create it as real. So this is really that's the paradigm from which we're seeding as a human species. It's amazing, isn't it?
It's
Because it literally is like a tsunami that we can't stop, no matter what is appearing in the outside world and how crazy it gets. This is coming through us, and it's birthing, and we're birthing it within each other. As we talk, as we meet, we have conversations like this, and through our creation, through all the wonderful things that we bring, even if it's making a cup of tea for somebody or just sitting holding someone's hand and listening, it has the same impact.
exactly. The thing that there's several things you said that I'd love to go deeper on. One of the things is that the darkness, the triggers in the darkness and the stop signs, I guess I would say, there's such a gift. And if we could clear those, like you would take a computer, use that analogy as well, which I love that analogy. If we're in a program, and we chose it as a soul, as our learning, as our growth, but we're projecting our very being through that program. And as all of those programs are revealed, if we meet them not with projecting them on someone else, but embracing them, it frees up all this energy to create like the beautiful art that you're creating and the soul work that you're creating. That's available for all of us. And people don't know it. They don't know that they can co-create with their own divine essence at all.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? That you can feel that in everybody. I mean, that's really, I guess this is what I, in my conventional sort of therapy and mentorship work with people, this is what I help people to discover, and I hold the space open for them to discover this inside. And it just turns out time and time again to be the truth, that we are unlimited. And as we are more and more open to how the divine creates through us without trying to meet it and be a certain way. I mean, for just quickly for an example, I think of all the when we have these conversations, I think of all the things that I aspired to be. Most of the way that I was I wanted to be successful, because I didn't want to be poor, because my family was suffered, not suffered, but experienced some hardship. And I wanted to be successful because I carried a lot of trauma, and I've been very suppressed. So my raison d'etre was, I'm going to succeed and I'm going to be a survivor and work very hard. So conventionally, I studied very hard and studied science and psychology, and through different mechanisms of the body. I went and did art at university, and again, it was just so dedicated to everything that I've done. Graduated, went into a conventional job because I wanted money
Mhm.
and I wanted to succeed in life. So went and worked very hard at that. Worked my way up through a male-dominated environment, technical environment, self-learned because nobody gave me anything on a plate. I worked very, very hard and I learned to apply myself in everything I did. But did it make me happy? No, it didn't make me happy. I was sitting in a room in my mid-20s. I had a really good salary, had a great job. I'd landed my dream job in a corporate world, had a little bit of people around me, some team, and I worked to tight schedules of time under pressure, and my body was breaking down. I was highly stressed out. So was I succeeding in life? No. I was dying slowly, but I
Right.
couldn't see it. And I
Right.
wasn't in touch with myself. I'd lost all of the foundations of my soul and my source. So it was at that point, that was what turned me. I was sitting in the work one
Yes.
day and saw my life like, when you see your life like go in front of you really fast, it was like that. And I knew at that point I had to resign. And thank God that the very next day I did. Something was driving me, and it started a kind of cascade of dominoes that it resulted in me being here. But everything that I had done, so we can think of this as a wasted life. That was what my former husband would say to me, is you've wasted your life. As soon as I was going down this spiritual path, everything you've done, you've wasted. Get a real job, do this stuff.
Yeah.
And we often hear this. It's not his fault. I'm not blaming him at all. He was just looking out for me. But what this does is it's such a big Velcro rip from the convention of what you are. It wasn't what I was doing, it was what was driving it. Where was that energy coming from? And it was coming from all of my wounds.
Right.
And this is what drives us as humans. We just don't see it. So when we open, when those seeds, those quantum seeds, start moving, we can't, like you said, the energy that we have is unlimited once we come out of a kind of entropic way of living, or a way where we're not cycling the energy maybe in a healthy way. We come into this idea that, where is our energy? Well, most of it's being used to prop up all of those programs. It's like going outside of us. We're giving it away to other people, to things that aren't efficient. When we collapse those energies that aren't serving us, it frees us up,
Yes.
and it gives us that potential to bring through what's really, really there.
Right.
And that is magical.
Yes.
That is amazing, because
Well,
people discover all of the things that they didn't know were in there. But everything that we did do and everything that we engage with is not lost, because we can also regret and grieve that space. And actually, there is nothing that we've ever experienced which isn't the gold
right.
of what we bring to this moment. So
Right.
it's celebrating all of it as the journey that it is, that we've chosen.
Well, one of the wonderful gifts that you demonstrate is the freedom of following who you really are, the discovery, because it's not seeking, it's embodiment. It's a different, there's a lot of, um, I want to say conscious teachers, or maybe they're not so conscious, but a lot of personal development or teachers that take you piece by piece by piece through another matrix versus you getting, well, because I don't know about you, but I was doing a lot of the things. I ran a division of Arthur Anderson. I had my own business and I lost it in a divorce. And then I went having to work for people until I could make enough money to work for myself again. And a lot of that program was trying to find love, be a good girl, get the conditional love from my peers and my family. And then you realize that didn't work. It was firstly wasn't satisfying, like you said, it was sucking all your life force out of you. But the energy that it takes to keep the costume on and the happy face and all of that, when you bust through all of that, it's the liberation. That's what I think we're looking towards for humanity right now, is this tremendous liberation.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful, isn't it? When you realize it, because it's not really like anyone's doing anything wrong. It's just that we haven't yet learned about how quantum field energy works. Like, how does our universe really work in terms of the energetic universe? So most business is founded from the head. Most of the conventions of our commerce and our business relationships are based in the head. The interpersonal relationships, they're based on control, on hierarchy, on approval, on success, on goal driven. There's nothing wrong with having a goal, of course, but it's like where you're drawing the energy from and why.
Right.
Most very, very successful people are some of the most broken people in the world, but that doesn't make them wrong. It just makes them driven. It's understanding where those drivers come from and then bringing those into unity. Because if say for example, if you have a business that makes products, say, I just want to make some money, I'm going to make some products, this is a great product, it goes out, it's multi-million seller, it's fantastic, you get a corporation. What people don't realize is maybe that is your soul is that product, that every part of you that's within that creation and model is an energy which is moving out. So if you're at the helm of this, whether it's one person or many, that all of that energy is part of that movement. And the more that you're relating that to source and it's coming through the business and it's conscious, the higher the capacity for change and for bringing the light through the things that you do. So you could be selling a pencil, but
Yes.
bringing the light into it, and it doesn't matter whether it's yourself as a singular node or whether you are a multi-millionaire with thousands and thousands of employees. It's the same process. And for me and our collective, we're here to help to show that through illustrating the trust and not making it a thing. So I have no business plan. This is everything we're taught. I have no business plan. I threw it out the window. I had to. I kept making them and it didn't work. Wanted to have a website, wanted to write a book. It's all there, but the guidance was not yet. This isn't the time. The same with the codes. It's like to trust what's there. When my mind says, you need to pay the rent, you
Yeah.
need to have a plan, you need to make a modality out of the things that you're being shown. It's like my soul is going, no, you're not here for this. You're here to be present for yourself first, to bring through your soul and to embody it. And the rest is going to follow. So everything has built quite slowly and organically. And although people have tried to influence me, I've always gone back inside and trusted what is there. Sometimes it's my ego is getting in the way and going and playing small. I've played small too. And
Yes.
then other times I haven't taken opportunities that I could have taken, although everything's perfect. And other times I've taken things and they've shown me that that's not perhaps the way I want to work in business, or not. This isn't the way I want to hold space in my groups. So, for example, with the events that we run, they're always guided in. It's
Right.
energy first. I do not make any movement to create an event until the energies and the codes are arriving in, and I know. And then I trust, and it's always given. And I even know how many spaces to make for the space. I can't explain why. It's the same in everything we do, even in working in other mediums as well. It's just trusting the energy. So in that way, showing up and being yourself is everything. Because the moment that you put on like a mask or a falsehood, it might get you somewhere. again, often you're doing this to learn something, and we do it all the time.
Yes.
But ultimately, the most successful space is the one where you're naked and connected, and you're always going to get then the highest potential. It doesn't necessarily look like the convention of success that we've lived in, but it's wholly abundant because
Right.
you're
Right.
feeling like your service to the whole rather than just this needy service to self space that we've had. Because the human race is here to evolve, and it's not here to be a singularity. It's we're here to serve with the whole together,
Yes.
and thrive together.
What I was, what I, because I attempt to do the same with using the energy to produce products and services with my clients. And I call that alchemy. That's why I call this myself a conscious business alchemist, because there's a conscious magnetic pull, um, a, a recognition of energy for the person, the perfect receiver. Do you understand and use the same in your art, or your art just flows through you and you just,
Yeah, of
okay,
course.
so there's nothing about who it's for? Like if you were doing a reading with me, do you?
Yes, that's different. That in
Okay.
so the codes are always open because they're living light. So if I try to contain them, that would not be very good for anybody or for the energy. That would be quite egotistical. So when I'm bringing a code through, I just open as a conduit, as a kind of funnel, and the codes come quickly. So I don't work as a conventional artist. I don't have a plan. I don't make a structure. Although sometimes it's like an architecture, like a scaffolding will come through with geometry or like numbers or energy, and I bring this in energetically, then my hand will work with either on paper or with the medium I'm using, and it will often come through very quickly. It comes, I know exactly, it's like I turn into a technician. It's
Yeah.
coming in, I'm embodying at the same time, and sometimes I have to stop and then go into the quiet, and then that's the energy embodying, so it all works simultaneously. Now, when I'm working where I'm bringing through soul creative codes for individuals, we work at a soul level. So I only work with one person at a time at that level, although I can write scripts and run scripts like snapshots or taking a picture with a camera. That's easy. But something deeper, where we work, making these personal codes, is that we work with the individual and feel that soul energy in, and it arrives in, and that is, yes, like you say, it's a fluid relationship. We're relating, we're having a conversation as God source in two nodes. We're just bringing something in and alchemizing it together. So that's what the alchemy is. Like, it's a co-creation. I am the conduit for your energy, which is really our energy ultimately, to express into a method of expression which we can relate to, which is a art or song or a voice or something. And I can't think of anything more beautiful personally, that my life is abundant and rich through being that creation. And it wouldn't matter for me, it doesn't matter what it is. So I go where I'm guided, whether it's broadcasting, whether it's working with groups. We do a lot of healing work and work with healing technology in these groups. So again, it's not really healing. We're coming into flow and promoting the alignments energetically that allow the body to heal rather than directly intervening. And it's the same with creation. It isn't a fixed thing, it's just present. So I am here to be present with a collective and serve and express in the medium which is got the most pull in that moment. Where is it showing? And I just trust it. I've learned through experience to trust this now.
I totally love this. I think what in the past humanity was taught that we ascend when we when we go to the other realm, when we leave this body. And I believe that this is one of the first times in human history that we're going to embody and ascend in body. And so this, all of this work that you're doing, where it helps people to identify their soul and work with their soul and hold more of it in this physical vessel, is what's going to shift this whole society, this whole consciousness. I really think that's why we're here.
Why else would you be here?
To play.
Who is here? What is here?
well, well, just one of
That's
us,
it.
really.
Yeah, it is for the there's so many different ways of experiencing, but ultimately it doesn't the experience I've had has been crazy. It's been nuts. Suddenly being thrown into multidimensional space, and also with all of the conventions that you're taught, because the New Age structures are just as much of an idiom and an ideology as any
That's
other structure, and it takes a little bit of courage to realize this, because there's nothing worse than the spiritual ego in terms of its magnetism. It's the strongest desire, like the strongest desire test is when you get your spiritual ego, because it's the one that's got the strongest pull, because it feels so real. And then you have to break through, of course, to the knowledge that nothing is real. And this is just where your energies, it never really left. So we never left that state. We are the God state, or the one state. It doesn't matter what the name is we give it. And we're just coming through different layers, we call them dimensions of energy, and that is where we become more and more and more separated. So the convention of matter in the third, because we have matter in the second as well as just no depth, it's
right.
flat. So we've got depth here, and we've got the ability to have time. So we have memory. We judge ourselves based on the past, and we project into the future. So it gives an amazing plane for a material experience of the atom, and therefore the human, the body. And we were born with all of the technology inside of our bodies. We think we're just this lowly cellular, the way I was taught science, I would just think I was still enthused even at that level. But when you really feel the potential, we've got all the technology inside of our bodies. So we have cellular technology, light technology, we carry biophotons, we're moving this in an atomic state, in a quantum field state. So we tend towards very conventional thinking, but the quantum field is far from fixed,
Right.
and it allows us to have this very flexible way of being and embodying. Embodying is not about escaping, it's about coming home. It's
Exactly.
about being here. And then all of the ways you get lost, be it in a god or a deity or an extraterrestrial or a belief system or a convention, they're just like the stories that by which we connect with the thing that is everything and has no real word and is our presence. So we become the presence. That's what every sort of major person that I've ever kind
And
of wanted to listen to comes back to. I am that. It's like that is the presence is everything. And I did spend some time early on with the self-realization fellowship, and that for me was a beginning. So working with Paramahansa Yogananda and Babaji, for two people that really kind of moved me. They was always talking about presence, but my ego took me on such a long and magnificent route around the galaxy and the dimensions. And it's a wonderful place to have experience, but there is nothing more sacred for me than being in this body and witnessing through human senses and feeling the connection that we have with nature and with each other. That's when I'm going to start crying. I said I knew I was going to cry. So that's it. When I feel that God state, that source state, for me, the witness inside that we carry, the stillness, enables us to then have that relationship in a much different way on the outside. So it changes everything, every relationship, compassion, fierce grace, boundaries, healthy boundaries, conscious communication. Everything changes, the world, instead of being this unsafe, crazy place full of deranged humans that you don't understand, just becomes this incredible playground. It's just an incredible playground,
Right,
and
right.
it's an opportunity for us to grow.
It is an incredible playground, and more people are waking up to that realization and trying it on. That's what's, I believe, this whole 2 years, it's almost 2 years that we've been through this journey. I don't know what else to call it. Um, but I knew that as soon as it last March, a year ago March, when it all started, it was like, okay, game on. This is why we came. Game on. And I sense that you got that same memo that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I
it
didn't
was
know it was coming though. I didn't know it was coming, truthfully. I didn't know. No, I didn't see it. I'd just gone through a lot of shadow work, like the most intensive shadow work. I was in Thailand, had a serious accident there. I had an NDE, but I was dealing with all my patriarchal wounds leading up to that. It just became so highly charged, and kind of like died to fear in that experience when I came,
beautiful.
through it. I was died to fear, and that was maybe a few weeks before all this kind of kicked off. So it was, there were so many pointers. I mean, it was an incredible journey. We
Well,
haven't
we
really got
need to
time to explore it,
We need
but
to have another talk
yeah.
about that because I'm really involved with the international near death group, and they would love to hear you talk about it because I sense that heart opening. There's something about the people that have had a spiritually transformative experience and or a near death experience that their operating system is heart based, and you can sort of sense it. Ego may show up every once in a while, and then you sort of flick it out again because sometimes it gets triggered and it
Oh, it
shows
still shows up. I'm not. I'm far from ego. And I don't know what you call it. Whenever you've got no
egoless.
ego, like no, of course not. I don't even know what that means, to be honest. I'm just a regular human being having an experience and just showing up to myself. Of course, I slip into all kinds
Oh,
of things.
this is so cool. So, okay, so another question about, because now I'm looking at the dragon behind you. And I don't know that much about dragons, but obviously you're working from a lot of your work is from the eighth dimension, seventh, eighth, ninth dimension, which is where the dragons and the elementals and a lot of my friends are the fairies. So how do you work with the dragons?
Well, they're just part of my life, and I do not differentiate between a human and a dragon. So to say, when it's obviously we have to reach people, and everyone has their own experience. So for me, I kind of present in multiple dimensions at once. So I know I'm here, I'm very grounded, I'm a very regular person, but I also simultaneously have as real experiences in different dimensions. So for me, the dragons, I see them. I see things that they're transposed on this reality, that it that some people call this psychosis. I just call this being open and being fully in my body, so it doesn't destabilize my experience, or it doesn't overwhelm me or become dangerous. So if you suddenly break into dimensions while you're driving, you're going to crash your car. This is
Right,
not
right,
going to be very helpful for you. So it's
right.
to have an experience which is where it's embodied and measured. So to me, the dragons are always here. I have a guide called Aya. She's obviously an aspect of me, and this dragon really came. I had some other dragons that came first, but this was the first one where we've had an embodiment. So we have a like Harris Gamus relationship. It's very, very close, and she is really holding that space. So the dragons are always here. They're present in everything. We've done, I think, I can't remember how many we've done now. I think we've done 5 retreats now with the dragons. We've just completed another one, just done the 5th, I think. It might be the 6th. I would say my brain doesn't work in that way so well. But yeah, we have them periodically when the dragon energy calls, and it's very strong now. I think that's the thing to say, is that the dragon energy on this planet is rising and arising to help humans and assist the human to basically grow a pair of balls. Just to say it simply, is
Okay. To
um,
get fearless.
to have that kind of fierce grace, which is fearless grace, and it means that you're not afraid to speak the truth. You're not afraid to speak the truth and stand up. I was for so long afraid. Really, I would put my head above a parapet, and because of my fear, it would manifest and people would appear, and I'd go away and hide again. And what I've learned most of all through the dragons is to embrace your light, to embrace it, to walk in the darkness, walk in all the places where you fear the ghosts and the demons, and hold up the light of your heart to it, because that's just you.
Oh,
It is just a reflection, and the dragons are here with us to help us to reconnect to our wholeness of being. It's just one presentation. It's no different to an angel. A dragons and angels for
yes.
me, not very much different at all.
Yes, yes. Well, and it's interesting the way I've seen, I haven't worked with very many of these beings for myself, but I do readings as well, soul readings, and I'll see them for the others. And then I'm kind of the translator of the journey. So I'm out, but I see a movie of somebody's soul, that their best soul timeline to create their mission. And so a lot of times I'll see, like Amanda Lawrence, I saw lots of cool beings in hers. And so that's where I don't know that much how I'm connected. I mean, I think I've had a reading where they said I was, but yeah, I don't know. I think you get these little hints, and when it's the right timing, everything comes in little by little. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think they're like snapshots. Like
yes,
um, I've learned just through being. I mean, I call myself a soul mirror, not really a reader conventionally, but and same. I think we're picking up the signals, and they're just like the voices. And the most honest thing you can do is just say what you are feeling.
exactly.
Help people not to get attached to it or make it a thing, and realize that ultimately, as we move into reconnecting with all of those aspects of our measure, so being able to access them simultaneously at any time, is that we're nothing, that all of it is just simply a creation to have an experience, that non the only thing that is really really important is how present are you in this moment, and how open can you be in this moment,
That's
because
beautiful.
that's the connectivity that is here for us.
That is so beautiful. And I agree. Here, here. So I have a question for you. Would you still like to show your video clip? Okay.
Oh
So,
yes, it's
so,
lovely for people
so
to see.
before, so I'll show it and then we'll come back on and then we'll give everyone the contact information for you. Okay.
Okay,
Okay, so
thank
here
you.
we go. So everyone, I have a beautiful video that is going to give you a feeling and a knowing for this beautiful art and Suzanne's beautiful expression. So here we go.
Bushman calqueo corki mel alena celebit patel corkiel panto corkies et inuna kit ut erp il krut esh mermek ta eka elakik patuna kaki patuta kita posta kin mon mali no sesha shurbi ran berkit entrale esha eka eya mamreka tue likia matea ak ekam it larak am bermas berturki ekura marmashka nela kayelulale malulafala se wash
I felt like that
Imrfjellskana.
blue being that was all happy with the long hair because I'm sitting here, tears are coming out. I just love your work. Oh my gosh.
Shkaranuyata. Deona Shalekoriviata and Oshalabiato Nashakayatura Alavano Shariata. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
cry too. I do every time I see the creations part of me. Just to, in case anybody's watching this, that I am human too, and I witness my own creations and the things that move through me, and I know that there is energy moving through. There's no attachment or ownership. I witness the creation as a new creation every time. It moves me.
I love it. Thank you so much, and have a blessed solstice. And
Thank you.
we're building towards this exciting time period where humans will wake up to their divinity. And I just want to say I'm hoping that everyone that watches this realizes how important you are to the change that's happening right now, and how powerful you are, and that you're a divine being of light. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for everybody watching as well. And I wish you all the best and the highest divine expression of your soul potential at this time or any other. All of it. So
Beautiful.
thank you for being live.
And please look on Suzanne's the Facebook pages. I put a link in the comments, and I also put it in the description. So please follow her on Instagram or Facebook or her YouTube channel.
Yeah.
There's
And
lots.
Telegram
Oh, me
as
too.
well. Really important now because of the medium that we're in right now.
Yes.
Is my Telegram channel. So that's t.me/Susanne Amara, and you get all the things there as well.
So this was wow. That is so cool. Okay, thank you all. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, and thank you. I know we're going to play more. Okay, bye bye.